Welcome to my channel. Subscribe and enjoy my new stories every day. The soft hum of the coffee machine filled the kitchen as I flipped through the morning paper, the scent of freshly brewed coffee wrapping around me like a warm blanket. Elena was still upstairs, lost in her routine. I could hear the soft thud of her footsteps, a comforting sound that had been part of my mornings for years. But lately, those footsteps felt more like echoes in an empty hall, each step resonating with a distance that was becoming harder to ignore. "Coffee's ready," I called out, trying to inject some cheer into the air. No response. Just the rustling of sheets and the faint sound of her moving about. I frowned. When she finally descended, I looked up to meet her gaze, but her eyes darted away, as if avoiding my scrutiny. "Morning," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Sleep well?" I asked, trying to draw her into conversation. "Yeah, fine," she replied, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. There was something off, something that made my stomach churn. The days passed in a similar pattern. I noticed the little things, her late nights out, the vague excuses about work and friends. I could feel the distance growing, a chasm that seemed insurmountable. One evening, after another lackluster dinner filled with stilted conversation, I decided to dig deeper. It was time to confront the shadows lurking between us. "Are you seeing someone else?" The question hung heavy in the air, charged with the weight of unspoken fears. Elena's face paled, and for a brief moment, I saw a flicker of something: guilt? Fear? She shook her head. "Of course not. How could you even think that?" "I don't know, Elena. You've been distant. It feels like you're hiding something." She stood up, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. "You're being paranoid. I can't believe you'd accuse me of something like that." I watched as she stormed off, her silhouette disappearing into the hallway. The argument echoed in my mind long after she had retreated. I needed answers, and the instinct to find them grew stronger. The next day, as she prepared to leave for another work event, I noticed her purse sitting unattended on the kitchen counter. A flicker of curiosity nudged at me. I glanced around, my heart racing. It was now or never. I opened her bag and rifled through it, feeling a rush of adrenaline. Beneath the usual clutter, lipstick, receipts, a half-eaten granola bar, I found a small, leather-bound diary. My breath caught in my throat. I flipped it open, my heart pounding. The pages were filled with elegant script, detailing everything from mundane daily tasks to heartfelt thoughts. But as I read further, my world shattered. "I met him again today," one entry read. "We laughed until our sides hurt. I can't believe how alive I feel with him. It's wrong, but it feels so right." Fury ignited in my chest, an inferno fueled by betrayal. How could she lie to me so effortlessly? I couldn't let this stand. I began to formulate a plan, a way to make her feel the same pain she had inflicted on me. "Elena!" I shouted, adrenaline coursing through me. She appeared in the doorway, her expression shifting from surprise to concern as she caught sight of the diary in my hands. "What's that?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. This is your little secret." I waved it in front of her, feeling powerful and betrayed all at once. "Care to explain?" Her face blanched, and she took a step back. "Give that to me, Daniel. It's private." "Private?" I laughed bitterly. "You think your lies deserve privacy? You're cheating on me, Elena. How long has this been going on?" "I can explain," she pleaded, her voice cracking. But I was beyond listening. "No more excuses. You're out. I want you gone by the end of the day." "Daniel, please." "No. You've ruined everything." I tossed the diary onto the table, watching as she reached for it, her fingers trembling. "You made your choice. Now, I'm making mine." Elena stood frozen, tears glistening in her eyes, but I felt no pity. All I felt was the burning desire for revenge. The trust was shattered, the love had evaporated. As she gathered her things, I could see the realization dawning on her face: this was really happening. She was leaving. And I was free. But I wasn't just going to let her walk away unscathed. I had plans. I would ruin her life just as she had ruined mine, and it would be glorious. "Goodbye, Elena," I said coldly, my voice steady. I turned away, knowing that our paths would never cross again. The door clicked shut behind her, and I felt a twisted sense of relief wash over me. I was ready to begin the next chapter of my life, one where I would reclaim my power and ensure that she would pay for her betrayal. The door clicked shut behind Elena with a finality that echoed in the silence of the house. I stood there for a moment, the weight of what had just happened crashing over me. The adrenaline still pulsed in my veins, and I felt alive, not from a sense of victory, but from the thrilling uncertainty of the chaos I was about to unleash. I glanced around the living room, now feeling alien and cold. Everything seemed tainted by her betrayal. The family photos that adorned the walls, the smiles, the moments frozen in time, now felt like cruel reminders of a life I had thought was real. I grabbed a framed picture of us from the mantel, my fingers brushing against the glass as memories flickered through my mind. I slammed it back down, shattering the illusion. "Time to take back control," I muttered to myself. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts, pausing on a name that sparked a flicker of mischief: Kevin, my college friend. We had lost touch over the years, but he was a guy who thrived on chaos. I needed someone who could help me execute my plan, and Kevin was just reckless enough to be on board. After a couple of rings, he answered, his voice a mixture of surprise and excitement. "Daniel. Long time, man. What's up?" "Hey, Kevin. I need a favor. Something, kind of messy." "Messy?" I'm intrigued. "Lay it on me." I took a deep breath, feeling the tension settle in my stomach. "Elena's been cheating on me. I just kicked her out, but I want to make sure she feels the weight of what she's done. Can you help?" There was a pause on the other end, then a laugh. "Oh man, that's brutal. What do you have in mind?" "I need to expose her, show her that there are consequences. I want to make her life a living hell. Count me in. Just tell me how." I outlined my plan, feeling a surge of excitement with each word. We'd set up a fake social media account, one that would look like a potential suitor. We'd send her flirty messages, building a false sense of interest that would eventually unravel. I wanted to turn the tables, to make her question her choices as she had made me question mine. "Perfect. When do we start?" Kevin asked. "Now. I'm going to gather some info. I need to know more about this guy, the one she's been seeing. Leave it to me. I'll do some digging." After hanging up, I felt a twisted thrill surging through me. It was the start of my retribution, and I was ready to dive into the dark waters of deception. The next few days passed in a blur of planning and plotting. I spent hours online, crafting a fake persona that would entice Elena. I chose a name, Mike, a safe, generic name that wouldn't raise any suspicions. I created a profile filled with just enough charm and humor to draw her in. As I typed messages to her, I imagined the storm brewing inside her, the confusion, the panic. "Hey there, beautiful. You seem like someone who knows how to have fun. Want to chat?" I hit send and leaned back, a smirk creeping onto my face. I was ready to play this game. Elena responded quickly, her curiosity evident. "Hi. Thanks for the compliment. What's your story?" I crafted my replies carefully, playing into her interests, feeding her ego while keeping my true identity concealed. As we exchanged messages, I felt the power shift. I was no longer the betrayed husband, I was the puppet master pulling the strings. Meanwhile, Kevin was hard at work. He texted me one evening with a flurry of updates. I found out who this guy is. His name is Tom, a colleague of hers. Works in marketing, apparently. Seems she's been spending a lot of time with him at work. Perfect. Let's use that. I want to make sure she knows I know who he is. I decided to weave Tom into my messages, making it seem like I was aware of their connection. I hear you work with a guy named Tom. He sounds like a cool guy. What's he like? I typed, sending it off with a sense of anticipation. Elena's response was immediate. Yeah, he's great. We've been working on a project together. You'd like him. I could almost hear the nervousness in her typing. She was already on edge, and I was just getting started. Days turned into a week, and the messages continued, each one tightening the noose of deception around her. I watched as she became increasingly conflicted, her replies growing hesitant. I could feel her confusion bubbling beneath the surface, and it fueled my determination. Then, one night, I received a message from Kevin. She's meeting him tomorrow. I have a plan to catch them together. You might want to be there. A wave of adrenaline washed over me. This was it, the moment I had been waiting for. Where and when? I typed back, my heart racing. 7 p.m. at that little Italian place downtown. I'll keep my eyes open. The evening of the confrontation arrived, and I sat in my car, parked across the street from the restaurant. My heart pounded in my chest as I watched the entrance, my stomach a mix of anticipation and dread. I felt like a predator stalking its prey, ready to pounce. As the clock struck 7, I saw Elena walk in, her laughter ringing out like a siren's call. A moment later, Tom appeared, casually sliding into the booth across from her. I felt my fists clench as I watched them, oblivious to the storm brewing just outside. This was my moment. The betrayal that had torn my life apart was about to come full circle. I would expose her for who she really was, and I would relish every second of it. As I stepped out of my car, a surge of determination filled me. I was ready to confront the truth and unleash my fury. The night was still young, and the reckoning was just beginning. The neon lights of the Italian restaurant flickered against the dusk, casting long shadows across the pavement as I approached the entrance. My heart thudded in my chest, each beat echoing the promise of confrontation. I stepped inside, the smell of garlic and fresh basil enveloping me, but I barely registered the ambience. All I could focus on was the sight of Elena and Tom at a table in the corner, laughter bubbling between them like champagne. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was about to happen. This was the culmination of weeks of deception, and I was ready to shatter the facade she had so carefully maintained. I scanned the room, searching for Kevin, who had promised to be my eyes and ears during this explosive moment. "Hey, you made it," Kevin whispered as he sidled up next to me, his eyes gleaming with mischief. He had a knack for creating chaos, and I needed that energy now more than ever. "Did you get the footage?" I asked, keeping my voice low. "Got it all on my phone," he replied, flashing a triumphant grin. "Just wait until you see her face when we drop the bomb." My pulse quickened as I watched Elena lean in closer to Tom, her laughter bright and carefree, entirely unaware of the storm brewing just outside her blissful bubble. I signaled to Kevin, and we made our way to a table closer to them, out of earshot but within view. "Ready?" Kevin asked, his tone laced with excitement. I nodded, my mind racing through 1,000 scenarios. "Let's give her a reason to panic." "On 3, he suggested. "On 3. We counted down, and as the word 3 left my lips, I stood up and strode over to their table, the chaos of the restaurant fading into a dull roar behind me. I could feel the heat of my anger radiating from my core, fueling my steps. "Elena," I said, my voice cutting through the air like a knife. She turned, her expression shifting from surprise to horror in a split second. Tom looked up, his smile faltering as he recognized me. "Daniel," Elena whispered, her voice shaky. "What's going on here?" I asked, my tone icy. Tom straightened in his seat, suddenly very aware of the tension. "We were just what? Enjoying a nice dinner? Or maybe plotting behind my back?" I shot back, my fury spilling over. "Daniel, please," Elena begged, her voice now laced with panic. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" I challenged, crossing my arms. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks pretty clear. You said I was your only love. I trusted you." The eyes of nearby diners turned toward us, the murmur of shock rippling through the crowd. I felt a rush of power, my heart racing as I laid bare the truth. "Elena, I've seen your diary," I continued, my voice steady despite the chaos swirling around us. "I know all about Tom. The late nights, the secrets. You can't lie your way out of this." Her face drained of color, and she opened her mouth, but no words came out. I could see the tears welling in her eyes, and for a brief moment, I felt a flicker of pity. But it was quickly extinguished by the fire of betrayal that burned within me. "Daniel, she stammered, desperately grasping for something, anything, to defuse the situation. "Save it," I snapped, cutting her off. "I'm not interested in your excuses. You think you can play me for a fool? This is over." Tom, sensing the escalating tension, finally spoke up, trying to defuse the situation. "Look, man, I didn't know." "Shut up," I barked, turning my glare toward him. "You're not innocent in this. You knew she was married, and you went ahead anyway." Elena's face twisted in a mix of anger and desperation. "I never meant for it to happen this way, Daniel." I was confused. "You weren't there for me like I needed." "Confused?" I echoed, incredulous. "You think that justifies cheating? How selfish can you be?" Around us, the restaurant buzzed with hushed conversations, the drama unfolding at our table drawing in the attention of everyone present. I could see the waiter lingering, unsure whether to intervene or just serve another round of pasta. "You think this is my fault?" Elena shot back, her voice rising. "You never listened. You never cared." I could feel my blood boiling. "I cared. I just didn't know I was competing with Tom for your affection." "Let's just go somewhere private and talk," Tom suggested, his eyes darting nervously between us. "No. This is exactly where we need to be," I declared, my gaze never leaving Elena. "You need to face what you've done, not hide away from it." Elena's face hardened, anger flaring in her eyes. "You're making a scene, Daniel. This is embarrassing for both of us." "Embarrassing? You think this is embarrassing? You know what's embarrassing? Lying to your husband, cheating on him, and pretending it's okay." The tension in the air was palpable, and I could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on us. I took a deep breath, grounding myself in the reality of the situation. "I'm done with this charade. I want a divorce, Elena," I stated firmly, watching her reaction closely. "And you're going to pay for what you've done." Her face fell, tears spilling down her cheeks as the reality of my words sank in. "Daniel, please. No more. This is your doing. You brought this on yourself." I turned to leave, knowing I had delivered the first blow, but it was just the beginning. As I walked away, I could hear Kevin behind me, whispering, "You nailed it, man. Let's get out of here." I stepped out into the cool night air, feeling a mix of exhilaration and sorrow. I had made my intentions clear, but this was only the start. I had my plan, and I would see it through. I was going to ensure that Elena understood the depth of her betrayal, every last painful detail of it. As I leaned against the car, Kevin joined me, a glint of excitement in his eyes. "That was epic. She didn't see that coming at all." "No, she didn't," I replied, the gravity of my actions settling in. And this is only the beginning. We're going to make sure she remembers this. The night stretched ahead, filled with uncertainty and the promise of retribution. I felt the adrenaline coursing through me again, and I knew there was no turning back. I was ready to dismantle everything she had built and ensure she faced the consequences of her actions. The game was on, and I was prepared to play for keeps. The days that followed the confrontation felt surreal, like I was caught in a twisted dream. The adrenaline high of my explosive revelation faded into a bitter reality, where anger simmered just beneath the surface. I had made my intentions clear, now it was time to see my plan through. Revenge coursed through my veins, filling me with a cold resolve. I had lost my wife and my trust, and I was determined to make Elena and Tom pay for their betrayal. I met with Kevin at a bar a few days later, a dark corner booth offering the privacy we needed. I looked at him, the fire of retribution burning in my eyes. It's time to ramp up the plan. We need to expose them, make their lives a nightmare. Tell me what you're thinking, he said, leaning forward, clearly intrigued. I want to take that fake profile to the next level. I'll send Elena messages from Mike that will make her question Tom. Then, I'll spread rumors. We'll make it look like he's been lying to her too. I want her to feel the sting of betrayal from both sides. Kevin grinned, the spark of mischief igniting in his eyes. I like it. Let's make them sweat. Over the next few weeks, I plunged into the depths of my scheme, crafting messages that slowly chipped away at Elena's trust in Tom. Isn't it weird how he never wants to go out with you? I heard he's been hanging out with someone else. Each message was a calculated blow, designed to unravel the fragile web of lies she had spun. I could almost hear her heart pounding as I pushed her toward the brink. Meanwhile, Kevin worked his magic, spreading rumors among our mutual friends and colleagues, subtly planting seeds of doubt about Tom's loyalty. I heard he's been acting strange, like he's hiding something, he would say casually over drinks, letting the words take root in unsuspecting minds. I watched from a distance as Elena grew increasingly paranoid, her confidence crumbling like a house of cards. She would often call me, desperate for reassurance, clinging to the last remnants of our past. You know I care about you, Daniel. Tom is just a distraction, she would plead. But my heart had hardened. You made your choice, Elena. You've lost my trust. I can't help you anymore. Each time I heard her voice, I felt a twisted satisfaction. She was living the consequences of her betrayal, and it filled me with a dark sense of power. But as the days turned into weeks, I began to realize how deep the rabbit hole had gone. The lines between reality and deception blurred, and I was no longer just the avenger, I was becoming the very thing I despised. Then came the fateful night. I was sitting at the bar, nursing a drink, when Kevin burst in, a wild look in his eyes. We need to talk. It's gone too far. What do you mean? I asked, feeling a chill creep up my spine. I heard Elena talking to Tom. She confronted him about the rumors. She thinks you're behind it all, Daniel. She's not backing down. A rush of adrenaline shot through me. Let her confront him. That's the plan. Let them implode. No, you don't get it. Tom's furious. He's going to confront you. He thinks you've manipulated her. He wants revenge, too. Let him come, I said defiantly. I'll show him what betrayal feels like. Kevin's eyes widened. Daniel, you need to reconsider. This is spiraling out of control. But I was too far gone, too wrapped up in my revenge. I don't care. They deserve this. The next day, I received a message from Elena. Meet me at the park. We need to talk. My heart raced at the thought of finally confronting her one last time. I could feel the storm brewing. When I arrived at the park, the sun hung low in the sky, casting an orange glow across the grass. Elena was pacing, her expression tense and conflicted. Daniel, you need to stop this. I know you're behind everything. Good, I said, stepping closer. Then you know the truth. I wanted you to feel what I felt. Feel what? Betrayal? Pain. You're destroying everything. Her voice was rising, and I could see the desperation in her eyes. Everything you've built was a lie, I shot back. You made your choice. Before she could respond, Tom emerged from the shadows, his expression dark and menacing. You think you can just manipulate her, Daniel? You think you can ruin our lives and walk away unscathed? Tom, this doesn't concern you, I replied, my voice steady. It concerns me when you're messing with someone I care about, he spat, advancing toward me. Care about? You're the reason she's in this mess. I countered, my anger boiling over. Elena stepped between us, her voice pleading. Stop. This isn't helping. We can't keep doing this. But the rage between Tom and me had ignited a spark that couldn't be extinguished. You want to defend him? I challenged, feeling a sense of betrayal from her once again. I'm not defending anyone, she yelled, frustration boiling over. I just want this to end. In a flash, the argument escalated, fists flying. Tom lunged at me, and I dodged, the adrenaline rushing through me as I retaliated. We tumbled to the ground, a flurry of fists and fury. Elena screamed, but her voice was drowned out by the chaos. Suddenly, in the midst of the scuffle, I felt a sharp pain in my side. I looked down, my heart dropping as I saw the glint of a knife in Tom's hand. You crossed the line, Daniel, he shouted, his face twisted with rage. The world slowed as I staggered back, the pain blossoming into a cold realization. You went too far, I gasped, feeling the warmth of blood seeping through my shirt. Elena rushed to my side, horror etched on her face. Daniel. No. But the darkness was creeping in, the edges of my vision blurring. I could hear her frantic cries, the chaos swirling around me, but it all felt distant. As I sank to the ground, the betrayal I felt morphed into something else, a tragic irony. I had sought to destroy their lives, but in my quest for revenge, I had sealed my own fate. I didn't mean for this, I whispered, my voice barely a breath. Daniel, please stay with me. Elena sobbed, her tears falling onto my shirt, mixing with the blood. In those final moments, the reality of my actions crashed down like a tidal wave. The lies, the manipulation, it all led to this. Betrayal had consumed us, and now it was taking me. I looked up at her, my heart heavy with regret. As my vision faded, I felt a strange peace wash over me, knowing I had finally broken the cycle of deception, albeit too late. Goodbye, Elena, I managed to say, my voice a whisper lost to the wind. And with that, everything faded to black. In the aftermath, Elena and Tom were left with the weight of my death, a tragic end to a story born of betrayal. Their paths would never cross mine again, haunted forever by the choices that led us all to this devastating conclusion. In the end, the darkness had claimed us all, leaving nothing but shattered lives and the haunting echoes of a love irrevocably lost.